We're live. We are live. Welcome back to another Sistine Trading Show here. My name is David. I'll be manning the stream today. We'll break down charts, see if we can put in some trades live. Big shout out to Weeks for being the exclusive trading partner here of Sistine Trading. They are doing a giveaway, guys, up to $2 million. Okay, and so use the link in the description, sign up, and you'll be in the running to win some money. Also, what I'm thinking about doing too is I'm thinking about sending over $100 to one of your Weeks accounts. And so, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do that. So if you don't have a Weeks account, create one and then throw in your UID, and then I'll pick one and I'll fund your account with $100 so you can start trading. And so we'll keep that for the whole week, and then I'll announce who wins next Monday when I'm back on this channel. And so again, link is in the description or pinned to the top of the comment section. Hop in there, and maybe you'll be the lucky winner. Fund you with $100 of USDT to start trading. Let's take a look at the markets here. We have a few winners so far on the day. Pump, Lido, Bitcoin Cash, Uniswap, all in the green. Some of the smaller gainers, Toncoin's up 2.2%. I did have a thesis on Toncoin for the Patreon members of Sin City Crypto. Athena Crow. Some of the ones that are down though. Virtual is down 6% on the day. Fartcoin down 10%. And then Jupe, Graph, Sui down, Pengu down. Pengu is sitting at 3.71 cents. Hasn't hit my accumulation zone yet, but yes. So you need no KYC. If you decide to do KYC, it'll be because you want to be able to cash out more. I think no KYC is up to 1 Bitcoin, which is 120 grand. So that's great. If you do want to, then you can go ahead and KYC. Should be fine. I don't think there's any, there's no VPN walls. And so you're good. Okay, let's take a peek at BTC. This is from the CME. A lot of talk about a gap. Is a gap going to fill? Historically, gaps have filled. Well, not all of them. This one still hasn't filled. This is between $91,000 and $92,000. Again, we're looking at this chart, excuse me, from the CME. Okay, so this is one gap that hasn't filled yet, according to the CME. That one has not filled, but some ones that have filled, right? This gap filled. This gap has filled officially as a Bitcoin accumulated here for about 4 or 5 days. And then we had a big shot up. And then this next gap, lower bound, from the open of Friday, 117,775. Now, I do think this gap will fill, okay? I do think that, there's a lot of volatility coming in over the next few days, or actually specifically tomorrow. CPI print comes in tomorrow. If CPI comes in hot, meaning it's more than they're expecting and forecasting, I think Bitcoin does drop. If it's sitting at that 119.5 to 120.5, even 121, CME comes in hot, CPI comes in hot. CME says that, or the Fed Watch Tool says, hey, odds of a Fed rate cut in September drop dramatically. Let's take a peek at where it's at now. Pull this up. CME Group, Fed Watch Tool. Where are we at currently on percentage? So right now we're at 86.4% believing that we're going to get a rate cut in the September 18th meeting. CPI comes in hot tomorrow. I think this number drops. CPI comes in under expectations. Then I think this number goes up to around 95%. We see a big rally. Can Bitcoin go to 125, 126? Potentially, yes. Carries on through the end of the month. Then at that point, I don't know if this gap will fill, right? Either way, if it does fill, I think this would be a great place to pick up some BTC. Let me see if I can get some data here on my high volume points. Over 300,000 Bitcoin was sold at the top here around 123.4. So big sell wall. And you don't really get another big high volume point. You do get one of from the sellers here at 112.3, but I do think that's going to flip to buyers. And then down here at $99,000, you have around 200. Let's call it $250,000 Bitcoin was bought down at around $99,000 even. So will the gap fill? Short answer, I believe yes, it will, but I think it does depend on what we see tomorrow from the CPI print. Let's go over to the regular Bitcoin chart. Source from, this is versus Bitcoin, top 100, BTC, 119.5 is where we're currently trading at for Bitcoin. Now this pattern here we've had on here, this was essentially a a bull pennant pattern that kind of played with us a little bit. It ended up breaking to the downside. We reclaimed, and right now it looks like we're printing a shooting star or an inverse inverse hammer. Okay, so this is typically a reversal signal. Let's get rid of the high volume points and let's throw on market cipher A, seeing if we're seeing any blood diamonds or red dots, which we are not. So that is good. And you see these bands on market cipher A are expanding. And so momentum from the bulls is carrying over. You also are seeing increasing volumes on the last moves up. We talked about this last week where we started to see volume on the pumps decrease, right? We're starting to see those increase now as well. And with today's candle, depending on where it closed, looks like volume is going to come in higher than yesterday's, which is a positive sign. We can swap over to market cipher B. Take a peek here. Momentum wave did cross to the upside, but the one thing to note, essentially we had a double bottom here on the momentum waves to the downside. Green dot in both, which is good. Money flow sitting at 8 and expanding. VWAP sitting at 17 and expanding. And then your momentum oscillators are looking great. These are pointing up. That's your, this one is your stochastic smooth over, and this is your RSI. Both are pointing in the right direction. I do want to take a peek on the weekly for market cipher B. A, not showing us anything. Let's take a peek at B. Let me get rid of these. Green dot on the weekly for market cipher B. And good news, my friends, we did just get a bullish crossover on the VWAP, officially trading above zero. And you can see here, Bitcoin's been in green money flow really since July of 2023 on the weekly time frame. Just green money flow. Money's been flowing in. And so if you caught this trend here, my friends, you're sitting fairly pretty here. Also, shout out to Crypto Face, who's obviously the creator of this. Ran into him at Rare Evo yesterday. And so weekly looks great. Again, green dot. The one thing I will note, though, is since March of last year, on these momentum waves, we are starting to clip. So we're putting in lower highs on the momentum waves on the weekly time frame for market cipher B. That's one thing to note. Not any concern or caution as far as, hey, is the bull market over? Should we sell everything? Is the top in? I don't think that is the case. But just something to note, right? And so, yeah, that's BTC on the weekly. Let's go down to maybe the 1 hour time frame on Bitcoin. Let's see if we can catch anything as far as a big move coming. You start seeing Bitcoin is starting to consolidate just a little bit. A potential, we're seeing a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern on BTC. I'm just thinking out loud here, right? Left shoulder, head, potentially right shoulder, neckline. What would that measured move be if this does break? 115.8, which would fill that CME gap. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but something to keep a note of. And so I'd be careful going long on Bitcoin now until we see something that tells us otherwise. Market cipher A, no information there of note. And then I do want to throw on the high volume points on the 1 hour time frame, seeing where buyers are stepping in. 1900 Bitcoin was bought at around 115.9, and so keep that level in mind. Also 118.8, we saw around 1400 Bitcoin being sold at that 118.8 level. Let's take a look at market cipher B on the 1 hour time frame. Obviously the bulls are losing momentum. Let's see if that momentum wave comes in and puts in a higher low than the previous, which is sitting at minus 42. We are currently at minus 29 on the light blue wave momentum oscillator here on market cipher B. And money flow looks like it is starting to trend down. Still in the heavy in the green, though, on the 1 hour. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hour on the momentum waves. We did put in a higher high, which is good. Also, we did get a red dot. One thing I will say to keep an eye on is this potential anchor wave, trigger wave setup for a short on Bitcoin on the 4 hour time frame. Okay, we have our first really like indicator here, which is overextended momentum wave with a red dot. The next thing we're going to look for is we're going to look for this momentum wave to come back down, not cross the zero line, put in a much smaller momentum wave with a red dot. That would trigger a potential short on BTC. So keep that in mind as well. If you do have this indicator, watch for that trigger wave on the 4 hour time frame on market cipher B. And if you're part of our Discord, I will be dropping. I'll be dropping that if it does happen or when it happens. I will notify Discord members and we'll see if we can get in a nice short on BTC. Make some money on the way down. Grumpy Fella said, I watched another channel which said alts will top in October like previous cycles. I don't think that's enough time. You know, we all joke and say this time is different, but this time really is different, right? I mean, you just take a look at when Bitcoin hit an all-time high relative to when the halving happened. Take a look at this cycle where the money's coming from. It's not a traditional cycle. And so I do think this thing extends. And I was talking to a buddy of mine. I was like, look, man, this might be the new cycle where it's just short spurts. Okay, you maybe get one long run, pull back short spurts. Wall Street is here. Institutions are here. And they're not like me and you where we wait for a 3 to 5x to take profit. They're taking profits at a 30% gain, a 40% return on investment. They're taking profits there. And so you see a lot more kind of methodical moves up in Bitcoin versus just this 2-month massive face melting rally. I do think a supply shock comes, but there's going to be a lot of profit taking along the way. This is what Wall Street does, guys, right? They don't sit around and wait for a 5x. They're more than happy to take profits. They're more than happy to scalp 30, 40, 50% at a time. And that's what they've been doing. And I think that trend is going to continue for BTC and some of the other ones as well. Just taking a peek at the super low time frame. This is a 30-minute on Bitcoin. Let's take a peek at market cipher B. Money flow just crossed into the red. VWAP looks like it wanted to cross above our 0 line to the upside. So no real indications on the 30-minute time frame for BTC. Let's take a look at market cipher A on the 30-minute. Baby blood diamond on the 30-minute, which is your first, right? Your first kind of warning right there. Baby blood diamond. You see one of these, typically that's a sell signal. Obviously on the 30-minute, this was incorrect. You did get a little bit of a pullback, 0.25%, and then Bitcoin rallied. Bitcoin rallied around 3.5%. So that is why we don't take these one indicator or one flashing signal and put in a long or a short. We look at multiple different indicators and multiple different setups, looking at things like volume and whatnot. I did get a request for, I believe it was Near. I saw a few people that wanted Near. Let's take a look at Near protocol chart. Near is something I was hyper bullish on. Definitely less bullish on Near. I did sell, I don't want to say a majority of my position, but I sold a decent amount of my position in Near protocol. Weekly, seeing a little bit of a W pattern here. Should see a reversal, but to be fair, we're seeing a lot of these W patterns on these altcoins, right? Final push down, then we get a big rally up potentially. Now the question asked is, what's your thesis for Near? Okay. Last cycle, you could literally say, well, it has a potential. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. It's like, it's time, right? Like the lights are on, the game has started. You're not in preseason anymore. You're in the actual season. Do you have the roster, right? Do you have a team? Do you have a good coach? Are you guys ready to start winning games? I don't know if Near is there yet, but weekly market cipher B, nothing to know here. Let's go through some price action here. Let's take a peek. Actually, let's bring up the RSI here. So you can see any bullish div. Yeah, so you have a little bit of bullish divergence on the weekly for Near protocol. If you're not familiar with bullish divergence, it is lower lows on price action and higher lows on RSI. And so bullish div here on Near protocol on the weekly time frame. Let's swap over to the daily on Near protocol. Let's see price action first. This is a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. Let's draw this out. A little bit of a messed up one, but got your shoulders, head extending down to around $1.80. And if this thing does break out, let's see what that move would be. From neckline, breakout, measured move, I'll drop a flag. You're looking at $4.26. Now, my thesis for Near, this could be a really good performer, but I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot more better options to get a better ROI on your money than Near protocol at this current moment. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I do still have some Near protocol in my portfolio, and I know some of you probably who are watching this right now also have some near protocol in your portfolios. Did just get a green dot on the daily from Market Cipher A. Last time we got a green dot from near protocol. Let's see what price action did. Green dot happened here from open to wick high, 25% rally. And then this happened on Friday. The next day, we got a 5% move and then a little bit of a pullback. Now, the important level to hold for near protocol here is going to be right there, $2.32. Okay, $2.32. Let me get rid of this. You can see here what price did as it got down to this $2.32 level. Let's change this color from red to purple. Okay. Pull back down to 230. This was back on the 25th of March. 35% rally. We broke below, failed to reclaim, and then came back up. Got a retest. Big move on the retest. Near rallied 50%. Okay. Same thing here. Bounce, near rallies 21%. We lose that level, come back, retest 3 times. Failed, break above. Almost got there on a full retest and then near rally 28%. And then more recently, which was on Saturday, August 2nd, near retested at $2.32 level and rallied 23%. And so this is the level I'd keep my eye on. Now, this is something that, in fact, I think I'd feel confident putting in a limit order on near at $2.32. Let's go limit order. We're going to go isolated combined. We're going to do a 13x leverage trade, and we're going to put in our limit order at 231.5. And we're doing our $1,000 to $10,000 challenge. And so I am going to put 10% of my total portfolio, which I think right now it's down to 930. So we're going to go $100 on this one. And we're going to open that long. Good to cancel. Yes. Order is placed. Okay. So we have an open order for a near protocol limit long at 231.50. You can take a look at our current position on weeks. We are 43% in the positive. We entered in at around, what was our average? 116.9. I believe this was a limit order that filled. We did just close out another. We did close out another Bitcoin long trade. I think that one was for like 60% on a Bitcoin long. We caught that at 113.9. We were in the red for a couple of days, but as Bitcoin bounced back, we didn't sell the top exactly. I think I got out around 120.5K. We had a little more. We left some profit on the table, but I don't try to time the exact top of really anything, Bitcoin, altcoins. And so we take profits when we're happy, and we have our TP levels. And so this one, with a low liquidation at 108, I'm fine to let this thing ride at 123 to 125. We'll close it out probably at 2x, anywhere between an 80 to 100% return on investment for this BTC trade. But near protocol, guys, if we do get back down, we hold 232. If we don't hold 232, then you're going sub $2, okay? You're going sub $2, and this one will make red. $1.87 to be exact. And again, I'd feel confident enough to put in another limit order. This one at higher leverage. This one, I'd be happy to go. Because this one's combined. Okay, so this one won't let me because it's combined currently. So you cannot switch modes when they're open positions or orders. And so if that one fills, then we'll go back in and we'll put in a limit order. But if you don't have one set at 231, of course, not financial advice, but I feel fairly confident that if near protocol breaks that $2.32 level, we're coming back down to $1.87, and we should see a really, really healthy balance. This should be a really, really nice. It's a 78% rally from start to finish, and this one was another 65% rally from start to finish. And so I feel fairly confident being in a long on near protocol if that does tend to happen. Let's throw on some price action concepts, take a look at some big order blocks. So we got this order block from around $2.71 up to $3. You have around 13% of all near protocol traded at this level, with sellers edging out buyers. And again, down at that $2 level, you have a 2-to-1 buyer versus seller. 9% of trading volume happened at that $2, call it $2.10 up to around $2.15. So that is another level to keep in mind. For near, we did have a big liquidity grab right here at around $2.51, and then a bounce at the previous week low at around $2.38. So these are all levels to keep an eye on near protocol. Let's work our way down to the lower time frame, see if we're going to see anything on a more recent level. Big fair value gap between 270 and 262. Big liquidity grab at that 269 level. Pull up market cipher B. So right now we're currently haven't made a lower high on the momentum wave, but RSI stochastics are both down. Money flow is minus 11 in the red, and VWAP is currently trading above our zero line. So bulls do not have control of this chart, at least on the 1 hour time frame. Going to work our way up to the 4 hour. Potential flag here on near protocol. Let's get rid of this. Let's draw our fib from this move. Now, for me, above 50% is where I want to be at to keep this valid, this bull flag pattern valid, which we are. Currently just above that 50% retracement level from this move down here from $2.38, which is currently $2.62. We want to be above that level for this pattern to stay intact on the 4 hour time frame. Your gold pocket sits between 255 and 257. If we do come down there, I would expect some support to catch there as well. As you can see, it got rejected right on the way up from $2.32 up to 256, rejected down to 239, crossed above, came back, retest, and then we pumped back all the way up to around $2.86 for near protocol. And so, like, fundamentally, I guess I'm still bullish. I'm not super bullish though, as maybe like 6 months ago. I think there's so many better options out there to get a better return on your investment. Oh, my dentist is calling me to confirm my appointment tomorrow. Well, I'll call him back. Okay, I did want to look at, there was another one in the chart. I think people were asking for, what were people asking for? It was near ICP, VeChain. Okay, let's take a peek at ICP. ICP, there you are. Start on the weekly. See if there's any bearish divergence on ICP, which there's not. Ooh, this could be a massive anchor trigger wave short for Internet Computer Protocol. Yeah, I mean, and this is on the weekly, guys. And so this is one thing to keep an eye on. We'll see how this momentum wave now, if you're not familiar with this pattern, or I don't even know if it's a pattern, but this kind of indicator is you get an overextended momentum wave with a red dot to the upside, which we got. That is your anchor wave. And then you wait for the trigger. And the trigger wave looks something like this, okay? So this was a long setup here, right? You have your anchor wave, green dot, trigger wave. You see that kind of hidden in the green and the orange? That is your momentum wave, and I'll kind of draw over it so you guys can see. That's the momentum wave with a green dot. Now, this was a trigger for a long. Let's take a peek at how that trade would have panned out on ICP if you would have entered in the next candle. So that trade actually was not a good setup. That was here. If you would have entered on the next candle open, you would have been immediately down 13%, but if you kept it and went down to the next one, Jesus Christ. If you took it to the next candle, that was a 22% move. And so, again, something to keep an eye out for. We'll be seeing if that trigger wave ends up showing up. And it's not just going to be that wave. We're going to need that red dot. If it does, then I'll be looking to short ICP on the higher time frame. And again, doesn't mean we're not bullish on the project. It just means that from a price action standpoint, we should see more downside. Let's go to the daily. Just range bound. I mean, like just let's pull this here. Just range bound here, guys. Right? You're just chopping between 628 and 442. And so, you know, you want to trade ranges just long the bottom and short the 628, right? We've essentially had a quadruple top here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And each time ICP has gone up here, right? You had a 24% retracement. This was a big one. You had a 30% retracement. And then more recently on the daily time frame, July 21st, you had a 21% retracement. But we are putting in higher lows, right? Since June 23rd. So that's good. But this isn't the sexiest chart in crypto. Far off price action versus fundamentally what ICP does. It just needs to get the adoption, man. And so let's take a look at market cipher B on the daily for ICP. Another potential anchor trigger wave short on ICP on the daily. Same setup, right? Overextended momentum wave with a red dot. And here we go. It's starting to clip. If this thing rolls over and we get a red dot, that's a short. That's a short for ICP. I'm curious on the... Let me just pick a random. Let's go to XLM. Are we seeing the same on XLM? We could potentially be seeing the same on XLM. Is it XLM on the daily? Overextended momentum wave, red dot, and now it looks like we're starting to see that momentum wave clip. And as long as it doesn't go higher and we get a red dot, this would be a short setup as well. So just to show you that it's not just ICP, let's look at XRP. Same thing for XRP. Let's look at ETH. Now, ETH is a different story. This wouldn't qualify as a trigger wave. It's too extended. This, though, this would have been a great long entry, okay? And let's take a peek at how well you would have done on a trade if you use this anchor wave, trigger wave to enter into that long. So you enter here. Beautiful, right? We had a green dot on a trigger wave, and price action was down to 35.98. And you would have entered there on the green dot. That's a 20% move to the upside for Ethereum. Multiply by your leverage, and you're making money. And so daily, weekly, obviously daily is going to come first. If we get that trigger wave with the red dot, I am going to short ICP. But it's not something that I'm going to put in a limit order for, but just something to keep in mind, okay? The other thing, I think people wanted to see, I saw a VeChain. Let's take a look at VeChain. VeChain from Binance. Tightening range on VeChain. It's not perfect, but there you have it. Right. And we're coming to the end. I mean, the end is September 29th. This is on the weekly time frame for VeChain. Good news is we just did put in a higher low, which is good. Let's take a peek if we have any potential bearish divergence. Let's take a look at the RSI. Nope, no bearish divergence on the weekly for Chainlink, which is good. Let's move that back down. Let's move this up here. Let's take a look at the market cipher B. VWAP had a nice bounce on the zero, currently trading above at 3.3. Excuse me. Money flow has been red since the beginning of the month, though, man. And so we need to get that crossover. Oscillators look great. Higher low on the momentum wave to the upside with green dots in both. This is good. Let's throw on I mean, that big green box, that is your discount zone, okay? That is telling you that VeChain at these levels is undervalued. Negative. From 0 to Upper bound, 2.6 cents. And then this massive, massive order block, I think 32%. Excuse me, down here, 54% of all VeChain was traded at around less than a penny, right around a penny, 0.009. And then VeChain exploded, but that was back in 2020. Excuse me. I'm trying to see, is that a gap? No gap. I mean, like VeChain came down into this discount zone and it stayed there. This is from July of 2024 to November of 2024. So what is that? 4 months. VeChain came down into this discount zone, stayed there for 4 months, and it crushed. Right? What was that move? Just from when it broke out, it was a 200. It's a 3x, a 3.5x, and that is where VeChain has been. But it has putting in lower highs, and so I think this next move for VeChain, guys, is going to be a really, really big one. Symmetrical triangle breakout. We're coming to the end. We're already in our discount zone, and so that would be my thesis on VeChain. And again, it hasn't really moved like the rest of them, and so it's not a shitty project. It's been around for a while. I think it is due for a big breakout. Taking a peek here. Price action, we can get rid of that. Let's throw on market cipher A. Green dot on the daily on market cipher A. Also, though, this blue triangle signified that the previous trend was coming to an end, which it did, right? This was your previous trend. This is your indicator, and now it looks like we're reversing. Now, the key level to hold for VeChain, you got two, in my opinion. Number one is here. This is 2.47 cents. But I think the bigger one is going to be here. 2.439 cents. I mean, I know we're splitting hairs here, but still, these are going to be very important. And you're coming into a potential bull flag on VeChain as well. Let's get rid of the drawings. And so we were coming in, like we did have, and I'll get rid of market cipher. Did have a little bit of a bull flag that broke down. This was going to be another bull flag that ended up breaking out. And then if you look in the grand scheme of things, and if you just take this one, this move, and then we look at this as a giant bear flag, let's measure where price is now. Let's draw our fibs. And again, above 50%, this is invalidated. This bear flag is invalidated. And my computer went black. There we go. Am I good? Yeah, I'm good. 2.573 cents. We wicked, got rejected. And so might see another leg down on VeChain if this bear flag does play out on the daily. It's going back to July 21st of this year. And that measured move, and I don't think this is going to happen. But if you strictly want to talk about that measured move, I mean, it's down to a penny and a half, 1.6, which again, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, we should have some big volume nodes. Yeah, I mean, you got a shitload of VeChain being bought in this region, right? You got 13 billion being bought at around 1.9 cents. You have another 15 billion being bought at around 2.1 cents. So there's some buyers. There's definitely buyers on the way down if this thing does break out and play out like the chart says it will, unless we break and stay above our 50% Fibonacci retracement level from that move from July of this year. That is 2.5 cents, 2.57 cents. Bit for Fun said, what level would be a break-up confirmation for VeChain? 50% retracement level. And then you can see price got to gold pocket, got rejected here. So I would say 2.7 cents. If we close above 2.7 cents, I want to see 2 days where price stays there. Obviously, looking at other things such as volume. The one thing I will note that's a little concerning is volume has increased on the last two red candles. Okay. Volume clipped on the move up, but volume has increased on the last two candles on the daily. So one thing to keep in mind. Fundamentally, though, I love VeChain. I think VeChain is going to do great. It's got to have a little bit of patience daily. Market cipher B, another setup for a potential anchor wave, trigger wave short. So that is what we're going to be looking for. So it seems like the theme, right? And I didn't come into the show pre-planned in my mind if I'm going to looking at shorting or longing. But from the 4 or 5 charts we've looked at, it looks like the next move for a majority of alts outside of like ETH is going to be a short. Okay, so more downside for the alts. Does that mean Bitcoin stays where it's at or comes down? I don't know. We take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Should give us a little bit of a scope into what we can expect from BTC if alts start to bleed. Let's get rid of that. Let's stay on the daily. Let's get rid of the drawings. Looks like Bitcoin dominance has bottomed. Let's see if we see any bullish div on Bitcoin dominance here. Yeah, guys. Lower lows on price. Extend this a little more so you guys can see a little better. Lower low on price. Higher low on RSI. That, my friends, is a bullish divergence on the Bitcoin dominance. Now, if you're majority in Bitcoin, this is great news. Dominance is going to go up. Alts will bleed. Bitcoin will stay or slowly grind up. But if you're a majority alt, which I'm assuming a lot of you are, or a lot of people in crypto are, this is not necessarily bad news. I mean, this is not necessarily good news, as we should see this thing reverse. Potential for a head and shoulders here on Bitcoin dominance. But I don't know, man. This thing looks like Bitcoin dominance is going to go back up to at least like 62.5. Maybe we test the top in its region again, 65%. But for alts to run, you need dominance to fall. And so dominance has been on a tear, increasing volume over the last few candles. And so that's one thing to keep note of. Also, speaking of dominance, ETH's dominance has been crushing. I mean, this thing bottomed out at around 7%, and it's 2x. 2x since April of this year. ETH has been running hot. Okay. Gino, you back there? I think someone's at... Yeah, Gino or Antoine's here. Let's get Antoine here. Okay. Okay, let's take a peek at the rest of the markets here. Let's look at the 7-day. Lido up 66% on the 7-day. Did talk about my thesis for Lido on the Sin City Crypto Morning Show. I am super bullish on Lido. The way I look at Lido, and we could pull up a chart and talk over it on a chart. The reason I'm so bullish on Lido is, one, I'm very bullish on ETH, right? And this is an Ethereum ecosystem play. But number two, just ask yourself this question. If Ethereum is at a $1 trillion market cap, so $8,000 to $10,000, okay, $8,000 to $9,000, then what market cap do you put on Lido Finance that is the #1 protocol for staking for retail and institutions, mostly for institutions? 1 trillion, and Lido is 10 billion, 20 billion. We're talking a 10 to 20x, even at a 1 to 2% market share of what ETH's total market cap is. Realistically, it's probably going to be like 8 to 10%, which 80 to $100 billion. Now you're talking about an 80x. Now, I'm not saying it's going to 80x, but these are just numbers. And so when you look at the chart, Lido's been screaming. Look at the volume. This is what you want to see on a sustained move up. Massive increase in volume. Price is going up. Let's throw on Heiken Ashi candles. Let's get rid of this. I mean, we're talking about since Thursday of last week, Lido has just been in a absolutely confirmed strong uptrend. Obviously, when you look at price, it's like no shit Sherlock. And yeah, I mean, Lido, like ETH, I think it has escaped a potential anchor wave, trigger wave short on market cipher B. And it doesn't look like it's stopping, man. We'll see what this momentum wave does when it starts to clip. VWAP is well above zero at 16. Money flow well above zero at 14. Oscillators are starting to clip a little bit, but maybe we see a little bit of a cool down before Lido has its next leg up. But this thing was at $4 a little over a year ago. It was at $4. And so I'm super bullish on Lido from a fundamental side. Price action side, though, definitely wouldn't long, right? My saying always, and feel free to use this for yourself, my saying always is, if you're trying to get on a train, right, you don't jump on the train when it's going 100 miles an hour. You wait for it to get to its next stop, comes to a complete stop, people get off, and then you get on. It's the same thing. This has been going 100 miles an hour since Tuesday, the 5th, 81%. Since Tuesday, August 5th. And so this thing is going 100 miles an hour. Okay, we talk about stops. This would have been a great stop. Okay, if you got on the train at that stop, you're up 30% on a trade, whether it's a spot trade or a leveraged long trade. Here's another stop. Okay, this red candle, that's a stop. 15%. Wait for the stop. The train will stop. It's not some like nuclear powered train that is going to just never run out of fuel, right? There's nuclear submarines that are pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. This train runs on gasoline. It's a combustion train, and it's going to run out of gas, and it's going to have to stop. And what the hell did I just do? It's going to run out of gas. It's going to stop to fill up, and that's when you're going to want to get on the train. And so I still think there's a lot of room to run on Lido. Again, 4-hour increasing volume. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. 1 hour making higher highs and higher lows. $1.41, want to stay above. Let's see if we, I mean, look at this 1 hour W breakout, right? And let's zoom in. You got that like funky W breakout. You had your pullback here before the final break that ended up being a bull flag pattern also. And then you have that massive move up. And so again, guys, the train will stop. I know Lynn Alden says nothing stops this train, but this train is going to stop, okay? And when it stops, if market conditions allow, I'm hopping on the train. And so super bullish on Lido. Other big gainers on the weekly. Aerodrome, another one that's just a runaway train. Let's take a peek at an Aerodrome chart. Number one DEX on base. $1.20. This is something my co-host Robin talked about on our live show, right? When it was at like 89, 90 cents. He's like, hey, Aerodrome, undervalued, base is heating up, and he was 100% correct. Higher lows. I will say, though, this thing is a rising channel. You want to call this a... It's on the daily, by the way. You want to call this a big bear flag. Let's draw a fib here on the bear flag. See, we got rejected at... See, like, I'm telling you guys, these flags on the higher time frames, just draw your fib from top to bottom, and you see a majority of them, they get stopped out at that 50% level, $1.31, which is exactly where Aerodrome stopped out at, $1.31. Now, though, actually, this might be a nice long, okay? Why? Channel supposed to break down, broke above. Are we going to hold? Is $1.12 going to hold? If it does, bear flag invalidated, and we push to the upside, and we look for levels of resistance to the upside. Obviously, that first level is going to be knocking on the door of $1.30 again. And just if I zoom out, let's go to the weekly and try to find some levels on the weekly. $1.51 on the weekly. Let's throw on our volume range. Let's go to the daily. VRVP on the daily. Got a big volume note here at $1.18. Okay. $1.18. Got a little bit of a spike at $1.37, $1.51, and then really there's like nothing. You got a big gap between $1.60 to $1.87. Another big gap from $1.87 up to $2.17, and now you're talking about all-time highs. Okay, so this is a potential long here on Aerodrome. Let's go to Market Cipher B. Okay, we're out of the woods on an anchor wave, trigger wave short. That's good. But momentum is shifting to the downside. One thing to keep in mind, okay? VWAP, sharp turn, approaching 0, currently sitting at 8.5. Let's go to the 4 hour. We seeing anything on the 4 hour? It gives us a little bit of hope. Actually, before I go to the 4 hour, I'm going to go back to the daily, and I want to throw on A, Market Cipher A. Nothing to see on Market Cipher A. 4 hour, Market Cipher A, nothing. Nothing of importance that I would take to place a trade. Four hours also flagging. Volume's decreasing though. Let's on some bands. Yeah, these bands are about to... Yeah, we're about to get a squeeze here, guys. We're about to get a squeeze. Let's go to the 1 hour. 1 hour squeeze played to the downside. 2 hour to the downside. 3 hour, we're still squeezing. And the 4 hour, we're squeezing. Let's look at the 6. 6, no, daily. Daily squeeze, push to the upside. So I am eyeing along here, guys. I am eyeing along here. This is the 1 hour Aerodrome. Higher lows on the momentum waves. Not good. We are seeing a little bit of a rebound from RSI here as it essentially hit a double bottom. Stochastic looks like it's pushing back up. And on the 1 hour, let's get rid of this. Let's throw on this. Let's take a peek at some market movements. PRVP gone. Massive liquidity grab down at $1.11, which is where our trend line is. Big fair value gap here that we've attempted to reclaim twice now on a wick and failed. Okay, this box right here, that is a fair value gap to the upside. Upper bound is $1.18, right? You slice that thing down the middle, $1.17. Lower bound, $1.16. And so I'd be eyeing those levels. If I am going to enter a long, I'd be eyeing those levels. But eventually we should reclaim that. Lower highs on the 1 hour time frame. Previous week high sits at $1.29. And let's take a peek here. Let's go down to the 30 minute. Greened out on the 30 minute. I just don't, I want these momentum waves to look like this, right? To look like this, but we are down on the momentum waves. 15 minute, same shit. 45 minute, same. A little bit of divergence from the stochastic and the RSI here. Something to keep note. Money flow continues to expand to the downside. 4 hour is probably the most bullish here, you guys. I'd keep my eye out on the 4 hour for potential long. But this trend is not coming to an end. So I would not enter a long now, right? These are Heikin-Ashi candles. I mean, this is technically, you would enter a short here if you were using the Heikin-Ashi kind of trading style or brain's pooping right now. Heikin-Ashi trading, right? You would actually, this would be your signal to enter into a short. 2 consecutive candles with no upper wicks. But I wouldn't do that. I really wouldn't. I think this is gonna swap. So Aerodrome is one that I have on my radar. Okay. $1.14 needs to hold. We can go back to the daily. $1.14 needs to hold for Aerodrome. If it holds, we'll be looking for a long. Right now it's teetering. It is teetering. It should hold. It should hold. One thing I like seeing on the daily here, volume is currently, now this could change, decreasing volume. Two things to know. We have two fair value gaps down ranging from 77 cents all the way up to $1. That's one thing to keep in know. If we do break and come into this pattern again, I would be expecting a retest of the lower range again, which I'll drop a flag. Depending on when it breaks, you're looking at around 75 cents. If it does, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer in spot. I'm a buyer in, ew, that was disgusting. I'm a buyer in spot, and I'm also a buyer in leverage long. So, yeah. All right, that'll do it for the show today. I want to thank you all very much. Again, I'm doing a week's giveaway. So all you got to do, create an account. There's a link in the description. You have to use the link, okay? It's an affiliate link. You got to use it. Once you create the account, next Monday, have your UID, paste it in the chat, and I will verify and pick one winner. And I will fund your trading account with $100, and you can use it to trade. No strings attached. If you don't want to trade with it, you can take it out, cash it out, whatever you want to do. Up to you. No strings attached. The only thing you got to do, create an account with a link in there. Also, when you create the account with the link, you'll be automatically entered into that $2 million week's giveaway. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you all very much. Appreciate every single one of you. And come back tomorrow. You got Alex O Crypto, man of the stream. Yeah. See you guys next time.